Welcome to Jump Shots from the Goal Line. I'm your host, Jonathan Dugan, joined as always by my co host, Mr. John Henningsen. I cut the sleeves off tonight. It's a nice, humid night here in Tucson, Arizona. John got his wish. He prayed to the monsoon gods, and they fulfilled his wishes. It's been raining a lot, hasn't it, bud?
Yeah, we finally got it, man. Like at least made it look, it's still really hot and everybody who lives in Arizona right now knows it's really hot. But at least with a little rain, it feels like it's okay. We can get through this. Like I can do this.
Yeah, dude. It's one of those weird Arizona things where it's 110 during the day, and then like clockwork, around what would you say, probably like 4 or 5 o'clock, the
Yeah.
monsoons start rolling in. I went to go see Oppenheimer by my lonesome today, which, to be honest, going to a movie by yourself if you haven't done it in a while, fantastic experience. Like, you don't have to worry about anybody, you don't have to explain the movie. It's just you and yourself, just a little bit of you time.
That's
But
kind of
anyway,
controversial.
why is that controversial?
I feel like there's a lot of people that like shame people for going to the movies by themselves or like either A, they just won't go. Like it's just not for them and they won't do it. And then like if they don't do it, then they start like I feel like I think you could find an argument on the internet for that for sure.
I think you can find an argument on the internet for basically anything, but to
True.
rebuttal this argument, I think the people that have problems with people going to movies by themselves need assurances from other people, and I don't think that's my problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
you
will
went right.
go on
You did. You skipped right to the end of the argument, the mean part. I was like,
a
I thought there was going to be a little more back and forth. You were like, oh
Nah,
yeah, in their
dude.
core, they're a weak human and they suck. I'm like, oh yeah, well there is that, but some people just don't like to.
Look,
Um,
dude, some people wait for the 3-2 count and then hit a home run. I go off the first pitch, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
I'm
swinging for
with
the
you though.
fences.
I think it's cool to like I'm okay like going and sitting and eating dinner by myself. Like
Yeah,
it's
dude.
fine.
Hell
Like
yeah.
it's a lot of fun. Like, and you might meet somebody else or talk to somebody different or whatever. And like that's probably not going to happen at the movies, I guess. But I'm with you. Like people learn to do things on your own. It's okay. Like no one's judging you. Like just it's its own vibe. Live your life.
Yeah, that wasn't going to happen tonight. I had an older woman to my left and a child to my right, which, by the way, Oppenheimer, do not take your child to that movie unless you want just, you know, it's not quite the 15-minute sex scene that people put it out there, but there are a couple sex scenes. And I was just like sitting next to this child, not even my own kid. And I was just like, I feel embarrassed for this parent. But going back to our argument, our embracing debate, look, self-love is one of the most important forms of love you can have. And if that means taking yourself on a little movie date because your wife would rather go get her nails done with your 4-year-old, that's okay, you know. And let me tell you, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I got a 32-ounce beer. I got a pack of peanut butter M&Ms. It was a great little self date, and you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world. Great movie. Highly recommend it if you're into history. Um, to my original point, though, I got home and my whole family was sitting on the front porch just watching the monsoons roll in, you know, because it was actually cool outside. And to me, and I know you feel this way, especially, there's nothing cooler than like the Arizona like environment, like the mountains, the desert, and you just see these like storm clouds rolling in with just like rain pouring down in the distance. That's just such a cool vibe. You don't get that on the East Coast. You know, like rain happens all the time. On the East Coast, there's trees everywhere, so it feels boxed in anyway. When you just have that wild, wild west with just rain coming down, there's just nothing cooler.
The smell in the desert is
The
perfect when it
mesquite, yeah.
rains. The like every single ounce of a monsoon storm is enjoyable, and I love that they were just hanging out vibing with it because there really isn't much better. I mean, the lightning show the last couple days has been ridiculous. Um, to the point where I have made sure that I stayed under my roof. But I was like, oh wow, that's kind of real today. But no, it's been so nice. Monsoon season rocks, and if you're not from Arizona, you trust me, it's not that cool. Stay where you are. But if you are here, enjoy it.
Yeah, dude, it has been wild though the last few nights, especially out where I live, because I live on the east side of Tucson, and I think out here in Vale, like the storms hit even heavier. And like we are just sitting in our living room and it literally sounded like either a gunshot or fireworks. My wife was like, "Oh my God, who got shot?" And it ended up just being thunder, like
Yeah,
just
the neighborhood
regular old
apps start to
thunder.
pop off.
Yeah.
Gunshots heard. Who's down? Who's down? And you're like, calm down. Everybody relax. It's raining. It's raining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, if you don't have the what is that like Ring doorbell app, like Neighborhood or something
Yeah.
like that, if you don't
Ring,
have
neighbor.
that
It
app,
doesn't matter. All those communities are exactly the same.
just a bunch of people either freaking out or complaining about their neighbors, and
Yes.
it's a great ad. I mean, you will get probably 17 pop-ups a day, but it's quality entertainment. That and like a Facebook group for your neighborhood is
Yep.
always quality entertainment. It's always some like Karen that just is complaining about somebody that parked in her front yard. So,
It's the only
um
way to find out which of your neighbors are racist. I mean, it's like,
not the only way, but
it's, yeah. Well, I find it the easiest way. I find it to be the
yeah.
easiest way.
Yeah, it's the easiest to digest for sure. You're
Yeah.
right. But yeah, it was popping off the other night, man. Like the thunder's been real. And it's crazy because we called it, right? Like it took so long for monsoon season to hit. And now it's finally here. Like it's coming in heavy. It's like every day. And I love it. But now I'm about to leave for 2 weeks. So which we'll get into at the end of the episode. But I hope you take care of Tucson monsoons for me while I'm gone.
Hey, what do you think about this? This is going to be just 10 minutes of rain talk, so just bear with us. But what are your thoughts on becoming a guy who just like gets his own weather station, like has like his own little tracking? Like, what do you think? Just asking for a friend. But what do you think about the? I might be that friend, but what do you think about that?
Let me tell you, I think that's just part of like getting older because my dad, who we mentioned many times on this show, he calls me almost every day, calls my sister who lives in Georgia almost every day, and tells us the weather report as if we don't have smartphones. Um, he reads it in the paper like any 85-year-old man still does and says, "Hey, by the way, I see that you're about to get some rain. Stay safe." Or, "Hey,
Just
I
a
see
heads
you,
up.
it's been a real heater out there. It looks like you're about to get some 110-degree weather." And I'm like, "Yes, Dad, I know. I have a weather app, but like it's to the point where my mom had to get one of those fancy clocks that has like the thermometer outside and the
Yeah.
barometric pressure reader for the
Mhm.
outside. And he reads that thing. My mom put it in the bathroom just for him so that when he wakes up, the first thing that he can look at is the weather like on the clock. And there's nothing that makes that man happier than being able to report the weather. So, I mean, with your birthday coming up here in a few months, like I think you're just on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But the weird part is too is like I don't know why I want to know more about the weather like the older you get when I also like I now can just walk outside and I feel like I could tell you exactly what the weather is. So I really don't know why I need this information anymore because my body even seems more in tune with it. Like my body will tell me if it's humid and I'm feeling loose, you know? Um
You're like a Native American shaman or like
yeah,
one of those
but also
Appalachian, old people that's like, "Oh, my arthritis is going off. It's
yeah,
gonna rain."
100%. Like exactly. I'm one with the earth, but I also still am like thinking about like how elaborate of a weather station is too much.
I don't think there is a limit, dude. I think this is a limitless situation where, like, if you want to, go to Costco, pick up your barometric reader, go to wherever and get your thermometer and get your little pinwheel that'll show you that it's windy outside because the trees don't do enough for you.
Right.
Like, I think
Yeah,
this is you,
like
dude. This is
feeling a
this is
breeze isn't
prime
enough.
you.
I need to see
You need the
those things
pinwheel.
churning, baby. Yeah. Now we know.
Yeah, I think that's only fair. I think look, you're about to get married. So you know that that special someone embraces this side of you. And you're at an age where you shouldn't care anyway. So embrace it, dude. This is you. This is who you are.
I definitely don't. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But I mean, I got to say, like on Tuesday, I want to say it was, my Apple app is just saying all fog all day. And I'm like, well, that's obviously a lie. And if this thing's going to continue to act like this, I'm gonna have to start going to my own system. This weather app can't be trusted.
I think that's where my dad's at. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like
I
I'm
think my
sure
dad's like,
probably like a couple days of like he's like this weatherman's a liar, and I need my own information.
Yeah, you can't trust the fraudsters on KYMA News 11 in Yuma. You need your own set of tools. So, hey, go out there and get them, dude. Treat yourself.
Can you imagine just reading it in the paper, living your life like that all day, and then getting pissed off? Like when it
That's
doesn't
Wayman
work
Dugan
out,
every
you know
day,
what I
dude.
mean? Like, dude, what a
That's Wayman Dugan's life.
man, what an
Listen, bro,
existence.
when you get to be in your 80s, you don't have a whole lot that you get to care about. You get to care about the weather though, because you're still 6 feet above ground, and that ground
Yeah.
has weather, and that weather you care about. You know what I mean? It don't matter if you're 85 or 39, bro. It don't matter at all. It
You're gonna have to
affects you.
change the title to just like weather. It's just like what happened for this pod. Like, I don't know, we talked about the weather for like an hour. Like different ways though. We talked about it like measuring it, the vibe of weather. Yeah.
I think it also comes down to the fact that you're quite the outdoorsman, right? Like one of your
Yeah.
favorite spots is like Wyoming, Montana. You're an avid golfer, which is outside. I
Yeah.
think that just inherently has instilled in you that you have to care about the weather.
That's correct, Dugan. I really do think that's what it is. I'm an outside dog. And outside dogs, damn, they care about the weather, bro. Like
Yeah, you
that's
also love grass, and the
oh,
amount of rain affects how tall your grass is.
which to me was like the winningest conversation from the entire weekend of golf was the winner actually talking about how stoked he was to go get on his tractor and just cut his lawn.
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. I mean, the British Open did happen this weekend, or the Open Championship, or
Yeah.
whatever people call it, whatever vernacular, right? On this podcast, we're going to call it the British Open because it happened in the UK. I didn't watch a whole lot of it because your boy had things to do, and it didn't seem all too gripping. But I know you probably tuned in a little bit. Why don't you give us a little bit of the lowdown?
Yeah, I mean, I followed along. I was still watching. It was just tough, man, because the big dogs didn't really show up, or they did, and they sort of like flirted with the leaderboard, but no one ever really pressed too hard on it. So,
Hmm.
Rahm made a run on Saturday.
Yep.
McElroy was around the leaderboard. He still played pretty solid golf for the most part.
Did he?
Scheffler was in
Did
the
he?
first couple days. Well, you can have your opinions. I'm just giving you the general roundabout, and then you can jump in here with whatever. Uh, but uh, but ultimately, our leader just was solid all the way through, and it's weird because he's a really unassuming guy.
Yep.
He's a lefty. He's a small, like I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say he's small, but I might be his size. But he just is a. He's not a big guy, right? He's not a bomber. It's like everybody was kind of like, oh, I like these guys that hit the ball long ways in these courses, or they have to have tremendous short game, or this or that. And he was look, the guy just played perfect like throughout the whole weekend. And so, congrats to you, Hartman, because he just absolutely took the lead, held the lead, and dominated throughout the entire thing. So it was a really dominating performance, a very controlled performance from a guy that you just wouldn't expect it from. I was saying all weekend that I just kind of expected him to start to fall off, and then I thought the tournament might get interesting and we would get some drama. Just was never the case, dude. And the guy
No.
just flat out won.
Yeah, dude, like you mentioned, I know Rom had like a hell of a round on Saturday. What did he shoot? Like a 62 or a 63?
Yeah,
Like,
62 or 63, and I can't remember for sure either.
yeah, but it was a hell of a round. But then couldn't really pull it together today. And then Rory, you kind of called it, on last week's pod that he put a lot of effort into winning the Scottish Open. And it kind of showed this weekend because what did he miss? Like 9 or 10 like birdie putts that were within 10 feet or within like 15 feet. I want to give him a little bit of credit, but missing some gimmies. Was he a little gassed from the Highlands or what was going on?
I mean, I just think it's always tough. I mean, it's just like I mentioned, it's just tough to win 2 weeks in a row. So, like the idea of like all those putts continuing to roll in, continuing to get the right bounces, whatever, all the magic that has to happen for you to win a tournament, for that to happen 2 weeks in a row is just rare, which is why it reminds you of why Tiger Woods was so freaking sick and what a damn animal he was to just dominate the sport in the way that he did. And I
Hmm.
think sometimes we think that that's just going to happen, but the reality in a post Tiger world has been that some of these guys win some of the times, and a lot of the times they look like pretty average golfers. and other guys are going
Yeah.
to step up, have a chance, and win. And so Rory played all right, but yeah, if he was struggling in that neighborhood, and I mean, to your point, just in that same neighborhood, I think Hartman was something like 57 to 58 inside of like 8 feet or something like that.
Just money.
Throughout the week, like he just never missed. Like the guy didn't miss any putts, and if you don't miss any putts, and he was lag putting like crazy today, like really had everything under control. He never looked nervous, dude. He never looked like he was going to give this thing away. So the yeah, I mean, and that's what sucks about golf sometimes is he's not an interesting story, so I almost find myself sitting there going like, I hope this guy chokes. But like, I got no reason to root against this guy. I'm just
Yeah.
like hoping for something more interesting. He's just kind of running away with it, and he's not a guy I even know anything about, frankly.
Yeah,
So
I've never heard of him. And that's kind of the beauty of golf. You know, I've talked about it, right? It's like any given weekend, these guys can go out there and win a major championship, and then you never hear about them again. Like this guy wins the Open, and he's like, I just can't wait to get back home and get on my tractor. You know, just a man of the people. Just wants to go out there and do some farm work. Got to respect it.
now, to be clear, this man of the people is probably going to get on like a $50,000 or $125,000 tractor or whatever. Um,
True.
it's like I saw it. I know it's a nice tractor, but nonetheless, hey man, like a man who's going out there and cutting his own grass is a man after my heart for sure. So, uh, much appreciative of anybody who's excited to go cut grass and I think he's really connected to our pocket. He's really a Georgia boy, so like make sure you hit it with the TikTok
Okay.
and we're talking grass again and talking Georgia because I know those Georgia fans love us out
Oh,
there.
big fans. Yeah, big fans. No, I mean, this might be a new guy that you kind of have to follow, Henny, because he's a lefty like
I know.
yourself. He's a clipper just like yourself, likes to clip the grass. Hey, this might be your guy. Maybe somebody you have to kind of follow on the socials or something. I don't know, but
Yeah,
he
I'm gonna have
seems
to
right up your alley.
probably gonna have to feel him out on weather. You know what I mean? Like, what's your feeling on
Mm,
weather? Like, are you into weather?
he is from Georgia. It rains a little bit out there. He's probably just kind of over weather. So might
Good
be a tough
question.
sell.
Something we have to get
Yeah,
into. I mean, we'll dig in. I mean, look, he's a guy we're gonna have to learn about him, and we'll probably get to know him because now he's gonna make a push for Ryder Cup, which will probably be the next real point of interest in golf. I mean, we have 9 months until the Masters. It's just kind of sad when the last major doesn't have drama, like because this was
hmm,
kind of the last hurrah. And to those people who are saying the British Open or the Open is like I don't know. I don't really know how this is anyone's one of their favorite majors, I guess is what I end up getting at. When it's at a certain course, I think it has, a little bit more allure when it's at St. Andrews or what have you.
sure.
But this course just kind of was like, I don't know, it wasn't that interesting to look at. There wasn't really, I mean, you saw some people putting backwards in some bunkers. You saw a couple of like interesting plays. People going out of bounds, but people going out of bounds isn't fun. I can play with my friends and watch that. Um,
Right here.
You,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I hit the ball out of bounds all the time. Yeah, I was like, it's not a problem. It's really easy to do. So yeah, it was just like I just thought it was a overall tough weekend for golf, like a great weekend for Hartman, and a weird weekend for golf overall because again, just the big guys weren't. They all flirted with it, but nobody ever took the reins.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of this golf weekend was, DJ not making the cut. And all the memes on Twitter were like, hey, I think DJ is okay, as they show a picture of him and Paulina on like a yacht or, doing something very like affluent. Those are my favorite aspects of this golf weekend because he's right. Hey, you don't make the cut. Guess what? You get to go home to Paulina Gretzky, and there's much worse things that can happen.
DJ's the kind of guy that I know likes weather, but I also know that he only likes good weather. And like that's kind of a vibe too. Like I get that. He's
Yeah.
like he likes boat weather. He likes golf weather.
He
Uh,
likes
there's
fishing weather. Yeah.
He likes fishing weather. Yeah, like that guy is yeah, like that you just described it as he was off to do something affluent, which like for DJ that's so on par. I mean, he's 100% doing something affluent right now. He's ever not do I mean, fishing is probably the least affluent thing that he does.
Yeah, definitely. But he is a huge fisherman, so,
Yeah.
shout out to him, another man of the people.
Yep.
So,
Another just a bunch of everymen out there on the PGA tour. That's what we all
yeah,
think. Just
You
regular
mentioned
guys
the
flying in private jets.
yeah, that's us, baby. You mentioned the Ryder Cup. When is the Ryder Cup
No
typically?
idea. Like
The
I know there's like all the chatter is like coming up around it about who's qualifying, like all that kind of conversation seems to be in the air. Having said
mhm.
that, and after I brought it up, I realized in my head I was like, I legitimately have no idea when this dang thing is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting though, because I want to see who's going to be actually qualifying to be in it. Because we have a lot of the live guys that have traditionally been in it, are kind of being ostracized and not really being allowed to be in it. But now with the merger, I guess it just depends on how quickly this merger happens and what goes on and shakes out with that. But I don't know. Do you think any of these live guys are going to be allowed to be on the Ryder Cup?
I would think so. I would think they find a way to get Brooks on there, if nothing else. Like I don't know if there's anybody else that they're going to go like out of their way to fight for, or what the points would even look like. I know that's like part of the discussion is just about how they score a live event versus these other events kind of thing. But I don't know. It seems to be trending in the direction that these wounds are going to heal. They're going to move that way, and so I would think that they would
Yeah.
want someone like Brooks, who's obviously helping push the game forward, uh, to be involved.
Yeah, I wonder if Ian Poulter will be able to suit up for the Ryder Cup because he's kind of captain Europe over there, isn't he? I mean, he's always on the squad.
Yeah, he has been, but the problem is he's really not playing good golf, right?
No,
So
not at
I don't think
all.
there's any reason they should want him, and I think there's plenty of guys that are playing well on the European tour or playing on the PGA tour as Europeans or whatever, what have you. So I don't think that's really gonna. That's the thing. I think this stuff just sorts itself out. I mean, I know we end up like, obviously it's a great talking point and all of those things, but at the end of the day, like they're going to end up with good golfers, and like we might have a name that's left out, but I'd be pretty shocked if like we're missing some of the really big guys that very clearly should be playing a part.
I would love for Brooks to be a part of it, like you said, but I want him to be paired up against Patrick Cantlay, just like what happened this weekend, just for the aesthetics, just for the vibes, the headlines. I need that to happen.
But Cantlay is American.
Don't they play together though? Like
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they could play
that's what I
together.
mean.
You want them to be
Yeah,
like
that's what I
paired
mean.
up, like on the same team together.
Yes.
You want like a
Yes.
Cantlay Brooks like hugging it out moment.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right.
I want them to play together, and I want to see if by the end of it, like they're still friends. Because like the vibes are not real there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, yeah, no, I'm with you now. I just wanted to make sure, like, I didn't know what
No,
exactly you
no,
were.
no. I'm not saying against each other. I'm
Yeah,
not that dumb. I just want them to be playing together. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
fair enough.
that would be hilarious. Which I'm not sure how that went this weekend, but I'm sure that there was a little bit of chitter chatter between the two of them about, hey, hurry the hell up and swing. You know?
I would hope so. Like,
Yeah.
I I always think it would be a lot more fun to hear the golfers mic'd up than we would lead on. I think there's probably a lot of good conversation that's going on the course because they just have a lot of downtime. Whether they're
Yeah.
playing fast, playing slow, like there's just a lot of time where I know these guys are grinding and they're pretty in it, but there's still definitely downtime. They definitely still know each other. These guys are flying out of the same small airports on the same private jets. Uh, they got stuff
Man
to
of the
talk about,
people.
just man of the people, just regular dude stuff, just everyday guys. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
Um,
I think it'd be interesting to hear what they have to say for sure.
just staying really quickly on the golf track. I think you told me before the show that you were out there playing this weekend. How'd that go?
Not great. Not great. I mean, I'm touch and go right now. I'm trying to just survive in a mental health space, but in terms of golf
Trying to
right
figure
now, it's
things out.
just everything's yeah. I mean, I can miss in any direction, and as you know, that's not ideal. But I will say, just in the golf world, one thing I am excited about is we are partnering with a new sponsor of sorts, and what that partnership looks like, we're still figuring that out, folks. We're still kind of new at this, and but I do want to introduce Tasty to you guys. These are teas that are flavored. So for that guy
Mm,
that's chewing out there, for the guy that normally is a gum guy, for the guy who has the tea in their mouth, um, dude, mixed
Isaiah Taylor.
berry, wintergreen, mint, cinnamon,
Ooh, Big
Like
fan of the wintergreen.
you name the flavors, they got them, and as they say, they've got taste down to a T.
Ooh, I like that
Pretty
tagline.
nice,
There we
right?
go.
But yeah, they're really growing and it's been pretty big. And it's, I kind of have a relationship through a friend with these guys. So very excited for them. Really excited to partner with them. I'm hoping we can get like more golf content type stuff out of it. Not a golf podcast, but we'll
Not at
definitely
all.
be trying to, hey, anytime we get an excuse to get out there and swing, meet some people. And now if we can give them some candy while we're at it, or I don't know if he calls it candy, but it is like, if it's mixed berry,
That's candy.
right? And they
Yeah,
smell like
that's
candy. My fiance keeps going like, "Dude, get this candy out of here." I'm like, "Hey, it's not. Look, those are teas."
she might be onto something though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
She might be
exactly.
onto something.
But we're really
And she
excited.
can tell
So
you.
stay tuned for that. We'll be probably throwing out some content with the Tasty Boys. That's probably not what they call themselves either. Um, they're gonna
Uh,
love
they
everything we
should
do.
though.
They're gonna love everything we're doing. But yeah, we're gonna be out there with. So if you see us around, if you see us out there in the world, you see me on the golf course, hit me up, and I can probably throw you some tasties to try.
Yeah, I wish we would have had those about 3 weeks ago with Isaiah Taylor because he's a big tea chewer. Let me tell you, always
Yeah,
got a tea in his mouth. So Isaiah, we'll be in contact. This is your thing right here.
yeah. We promised you some. I'll get you some. We'll get to you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're out there trying to figure it out a little bit. I think what it comes down to is you just got kind of like some PTSD of me just talking you up really high and then us getting our asses kicked.
Yeah, I think that's
Glad
a
you
big
were there
part of
with
it.
us.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
I think there's some emotional scars and some damage from that day still that we're working through.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Noah needs to sit down with you and use his sports psychology degree and really break through some walls.
for
You
sure.
know.
There's no doubt I need help, and I yeah. I'm just gonna save that for myself. But yeah, as again, the internal thoughts they're firing.
John's crying out for help right now, Noah. Please help us. Perfect, man. Well, moving on from golf, there has been a lot of kind of releases from NFL teams just releasing their alternate uniforms for this upcoming season. NFL football is realistically only about a month and a half away. We got preseason coming up in just a couple weeks here, which is wild to think about. I feel like the NFL season just ended, but some of these uniforms that have been released, pretty dope, right? A lot of them are kind of going back to that '90s theme, which I think that's just kind of a theme all around in sports because I've seen some NBA teams do it. You know, the Suns rolling out their sunburst logos. Chelsea soccer team just rolled out their new uniform for the season, which is a throwback to the '90s team that won the treble. And now the NFL is taking suit as well. Um, do you have a team that you want to kind of start out with that kind of caught your eye?
I think the first and foremost one that catches my eye the most is the Seahawks. Like that one really,
Mm,
their '90s throwback look. I just grew up on that. Like that is what the Seahawks look like to me.
yeah,
Them being a West Coast team, I think I had like a little more draw to them. I
yeah,
know my dad was like a big Steve Largent guy. I'm pretty sure I had some version of that jersey in
wide
cotton.
receiver, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, like probably had a cotton Steve Largent jersey that I was rocking. So
probably starter. Yeah,
I've
starter brand.
always dug Seattle's colors. Pretty much no matter what they've done, they've always had a nice scheme as far as that goes.
Hmm.
But I love them putting them those in those throwbacks, and I like. Yeah, they look really cool. They look great. It's a beautiful uniform. I also think it's going to be a hilarious uniform to watch Geno Smith throw 3 interceptions in. Like, admit that. Like, also, if the Seahawks play really bad and look bad, they're going to look like the old sea bags of old, which is what I grew up on. They were just the sea bags, and they were terrible, and they sucked, and they were wearing those uniforms. So I'm okay with the Seahawks going back to playing terrible football, turning it over a bunch, and looking really clean and sharp while doing it.
Listen here, this was a very pro Geno Smith podcast during the season. I didn't know we were reversing track here and just going full, hey, Geno Smith sucks, but I'm here for it. You know,
He's
hey,
overpaid now,
he,
buddy.
yeah, he's got a track record and now he got the bag. So, hey, we've all seen that happen. But no, I agree with you, dude. Like, I love the silver lids. Those are great. I like the fact that we don't have to see neon green anymore. That's a plus.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just that, like, typical 90s, like I feel like everything 90s was this color scheme, this like kind of lightish blue with that green, like very 90s, and
Yes.
just a very clean, like cut, like color combination. They're just very, very beautiful colors. But I agree with you. It's going to be even funnier when Gino's tossing 3 picks when he's trying to throw it to DK or Smith and Jigba. It's going to be great. So, no, those are definitely a winner for me too. Um, for me, my the one that really popped out to me is obviously they got released, I think today, right? The Tennessee Titans throwbacks to the Houston Oilers. Those bad boys are some of my all-time favorite uniforms in sports. Just that like powder blue with the red. You got the little oil thing, whatever you want to call it. I can't think of the name right now. And
Oil
then
rig? I don't know. Tower?
the,
What do they call that thing?
that's what I mean, right? Like,
I don't even know
what do we
what that
call that?
is. It's a
I don't
cartoon
live in
oil machine.
Texas. I don't live in Texas, so I don't
I don't
know.
either.
I think
Yeah.
rig is the right vernacular. So you might be onto something. So, and
Man of the
then they just
people.
got the stripes. Yeah, man of the people. So look at you.
Yeah.
You are a golfer. So, um, but they got the 3 stripes down the helmet as well. Those ones pop like crazy. I love those ones.
The Oilers uniforms are amazing.
Hmm.
And again, just to like find the funny in it, what I really did enjoy is the way it released today is how triggered Houston fans were. Like they
Oh
have
my
their own new
god.
team and blah blah blah, but they're like, how dare they? Like they can't, like not in Nashville, those sons of and like it's just really funny to me. But those uniforms are so good you have to wear them.
Yeah. I mean, look, I guess that's just the cards were dealt, right? Like when a franchise moves, you got to do with the old Cleveland Browns model, where you're like, "Hey, you sons of bitches, we're keeping the history though." And Houston didn't do that, right? They let bygones be bygones. They let them go. I think the Oilers were actually like the Tennessee Oilers for like a season, if I remember correctly. Probably wrong on that front, more than likely wrong. But they brought the history. That's all that matters, right? They kept the history with that franchise. And there's nothing really Houston could have done about it. They're the Texans now, all right? You guys have Arian Foster, you have, Andre Johnson, Matt Schaub, legend. You don't get to keep the beautiful uniforms with Matt Schaub, okay? You chose one or the other. And unfortunately, now we have to watch DeAndre Hopkins just catch balls from Ryan Tannehill wearing those beautiful, beautiful uniforms.
Who's the guy you think of the most in those Oiler uniforms? Like, do you remember Warren Moon? Is that something that jumps out for
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Yeah, so like Warren Moon for sure. I think that's like the number one guy you think of, right? Like funny enough for me, like my biggest memory of like the Oilers is my mom used to have a blanket that I very fondly remember sleeping in that had all the NFL logos on it. And I always remember thinking that that logo was super sick.
It
And now I
is.
can't even remember what it's called. You know what I mean? It's a rig,
Whatever
apparently.
that thing is, it's so cool though. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's just those uniforms are awesome. You
but yeah,
can't
definitely Warren Moon.
you can't just like make teams up like this anymore. It's like because are we gonna do this again with the Commanders, by the way? Just a quick sidebar.
We
Like
are.
we're gonna do this again, right? Like we're gonna have to
Yeah,
rename this
we can
franchise
talk
again.
through that.
Uh it's so hard to manufacture like these perfect like the Oilers is just like a perfect name. That's like a perfect logo. It's perfect. It's so
Mhm.
cool. Everything about it
Fit the
just
area.
looks amazing. And yeah, now Washington's going to try to redo this again, but like we've seen, like this is hard. It's a hard game to make it not sound cheesy and corny and get roasted and flamed for it.
Yeah.
And I personally would just go right back to Washington football team.
Can
I
we
thought
do
that
that
was
really
cool.
quick, actually? Can we just,
Yeah,
like, name off a few of the
yeah.
ones
Let's do.
that,
Yeah,
like,
like I know
we're
we're here.
here, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're
Yeah.
here. Let's do it. Yeah, we can jump
Men
back
of
into
the
this.
people are here. So,
Yeah,
like, I agree with you. Number one option should be football team. Because honestly, it started out as a joke, but Washington football team had some real gas behind it. It sounded way cooler than the Commanders because now they're just called the Commies, and it's very ironic that they're in Washington.
hmm
Like, football team was actually kind of cool. Like WFT was close enough to WTF, and that fully embraced what Washington football is. So I'm all for going back to the football team.
I think football team's like the obvious choice here. Like I'm not being ironic. I don't think it's funny. I think it's a cool name. Like the colors the scheme and everything, like, for them is still strong, but it just
Yeah,
yeah,
the
it just
red and
keeps it
yellow, whatever,
clean,
burgundy,
simple. They're the
whatever.
Washington. It's great for SEO purposes, I have to assume. They have to own just more space on the internet in terms of searchability. It just seems like a great name. I love the name Washington Football Team, and I think it's a good sneaky steal from sort of the European type club teams that we see in terms of names in soccer. So I just think it's a cool name.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree with you. I think some of the other ones that have been passed around were like the Hogs, which I'm all for. Like also, like if you can be the Washington like Hogs, like we all
That's cool.
know. We've been in a locker room. A hog is definitely like a word that we use for something else. And I'm all for that. You know what I mean? If I can get some sick like hog merchandise, oh man, dude. Like let me tell you right now, I'd pick it up. Am I
You're like,
wrong?
bro,
Like
I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, what? I'm just here. Like, there's a lot. No, I don't think you're wrong, but there's like several ways to hear what you're saying, and it's just really funny to like repeat it back to yourself, being like, man, some hog
I'm trying to be as
merchandise. You're like,
I'm trying to be as
tell me you don't
YouTube
want
safe as
something that's
possible.
talking about your hog on it, man. Tell me you
Yeah,
don't.
dude. Like, I'm trying to be as YouTube safe right now so we don't get this episode canceled. But like, dude, the Hogs, like that's a sick name, you know?
It's
So
cool because it goes back to their history too. Like, it actually is a part of like their name historically. It works. The hogs would also work.
yeah. What were some of the other names that have been kind of floated around? Can you think of any?
No, I think I have like just Washington football team commander fatigue where I've heard them all, but no, I don't like. Are they going to go back to the same pool of names? Like, are we going to come up with a new pool of names? The guys only own the team for what, 3 days now or something, right? So
Yeah. I think it's hilarious though that the whole reason they're changing the name again is because it's just like fuck Dan Snyder.
yeah,
Like, you know, like
which
I mean, and
we're
by the
all on
way,
board with.
yes,
Yeah, like the whole
solidarity with that.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Everybody stands with fuck Dan Snyder. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's just like even the new owner was just like, yeah, the stink of this name is tainted by Dan Snyder.
it's like
So we're gonna
just
go ahead
too
and
much.
just axe the name again. But some of the names that were floated around before, the Washington Red Wolves, which
Oh yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. Like if that was the name they decided to go with, I wouldn't hate it. Again, the Washington Red Hogs or Hogs. Again, I'm all for that. The Washington Defenders, which I think now is that's like an AFL team or whatever, right? Or USFL, I
Sounds
think.
stupid. I don't like it.
Washington Admirals, that's not bad. That's not the best, but it's not terrible, you know, and kind of embracing the military theme. The Washington Armada slash Brigade, not terrible, you know. Washington Presidents, that's awful.
That's
Please
so
don't do
bad.
that.
Please don't do that.
And then just the Washington football team, just keep it. So I think jump shots from the goal line stands with Washington football team. I think that's where we're going to leave it. As much as I want some hog merchandise, football team is where it's at for sure.
I'll get you a shirt, dude.
Yeah, we'll make them. No, but we'll see
Uh,
what happens with this whole thing. Going back to the uniform stuff, the other uniform that caught my eye was the Eagles going back to Kelly Green. Just beautiful uniforms. Again, another one that was on that blanket, you know, because that's back. I'm old enough. That's when they were wearing the Kelly green. I like the current Eagles uniforms, kind of that
I do
deeper
too.
green, but that lighter like Kelly green is just that's beautiful. You know, also very 90s.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of, I mean, if you think about it now and like you can just see it in the transition, it does feel like all these 90s alternate ones, like they're not as like safe in terms of the color schemes, but they are much nicer and they give you like much more contrast on the field in terms of what two teams look like. Um, and while you have all these like great, awesome uniforms that are coming back, which the Eagles is a good one, even though again, I agree with you, like their current green is also a good green. Uh, while everybody's doing this, the Colts are just simply like, what if we just do black? Would that be cool? Would that be like, would you even think the Colts? I hate that one so much more than I love any of these other ones.
I also just
So
love the fact
terrible.
that Matt Hesse was like, "I love it."
Hey,
And you and I
man,
were like, "No way."
there's like a group of people out there that just likes black for black's sake. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
why is it cool? Like, I don't know. This is black. Like, and I wear plenty of black, and I'm wearing a black hat right now, and you're dressed in all black, and so
yeah,
hey, it's slimming. It's a good color, right?
I
But when
need
we're
it.
talking
Yeah,
about football uniforms, dude, if that's not a part of your traditional color scheme, I hate when you do that. If you go all
yeah,
white, like you can get away with that normally. Like there's some version of your scheme that has some white in it, and you can get away with that. But if you really don't have black truly in your color scheme, and we'll go back to this all the time, and I know we've already had this conversation in some form or fashion. This is why it works for the Ravens. It works for the Ravens because it was always in their color scheme. It always
they're
made
Raven.
sense.
Yeah,
It's
a
sick.
Raven is black.
They look good. It doesn't really even look good when the Saints wear their black pants for some reason. Like it doesn't really quite work for me, even though they've had, that color in there. And oh, Colts. Like you're so known for that white helmet and that blue and white, the pop of those two colors off of each other. This was not it, Indianapolis
The
fans.
biggest question I have about this whole thing is the name of the uniform, Indiana Knights. And I posed this question to dear Matt Hesse, and I was like, "What, in fact, is an Indiana Knight? Does it have something to do with sisters, cousins, perhaps? I don't know. I haven't been to that part of the nation, but if it's as bad as uniforms, I can only imagine that it does have something to do with some sister loving. That's my thoughts.
I just know
Sorry, Indiana.
I don't have anything. What's nice about it? I've never been to Indiana, so I'm not going to pretend like it's terrible. I've watched them, you know, rebuild some houses on HGTV,
I've
and
watched
heard
Hoosiers.
and seen some really boring articles about the NFL Combine, and that's kind of my knowledge of Indiana. But I don't know about Indiana Knights, man.
I just can't imagine what's popping in Indiana at night. You know, I mean, just being real, there can't be a lot going on out there.
Well, the thing is, I don't think they have like even a tremendous reputation for being the safest, most wonderful places at night. Um, so
Not with Jim Irsay on the streets, let me tell you.
there's also that to question. But yeah, the Indiana Knights, dude, those are bad.
Yeah. By the way, I was watching an interview. Pat McAfee was interviewing Jim Irsay, and Jim Irsay was just ripping a blunt the entire time.
Really?
Like, yeah, like, hey, man, Jim Irsay is not going to change for anybody. I hate the Irsay family because of what they did to Baltimore, but like that guy didn't have any part of that, and all he does is just talk about his sick guitar collection, rip doobies, and like play rock concerts. So like, I don't blame him for this
You
mess.
still hold like a Ursay family grudge, even with like even though you stole the Browns?
Yeah, dude, for
Like
sure. We
you
didn't.
know, you're just like classic hurt people hurt people. That's fine.
Yeah, dude. Hey, we both. You need therapy for your golf game. I need therapy for other reasons.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was like,
Noah, come get us. All right.
we need more
No, but look,
followers, guys, so we can put on a second layer of insurance here, so we can cover some of these medical costs incumbent here.
listen. Modell didn't leave in the middle of the night in a Maytag van. All right, gave plenty of cause and plenty of warning. We're leaving unless you pay for the stadium, which is a scumbag move, by the way.
For sure.
Whenever any ownership group does that, I'm like, you guys are so shit. But he at least gave them warning. The Ursays just packed up in the middle of the night in 1983 and were like, "Hey, we're out. Like we're going to
Yeah,
Indianapolis." Like, just yes, I'm still bitter, even though that I wasn't even born back then. But like, how do you not look at that and just go, "That's a d bag move. That's a bad family."
it's weird though that I can picture those trucks.
Oh
Like
yeah, I mean, it's
we
been
all
on
know the
ESPN
picture of
a
those
billion
trucks, and
times.
we all know they left on an Indiana night. You know,
Yeah, I mean, anytime the Colts and the Ravens play each other, they bring it up. So, but Jim Irsay's okay. I don't mind Jim Irsay because he's just doing his thing, living life. Um, so not a lot to be upset with him on that. But yeah, dude, the uniform situation is pretty dope. I'm excited for the upcoming NFL season. With that, we're going to move on to our next topic. We're bringing a new segment to the show, and it's going to be It's gonna be bedtime stories with Uncle John. John's got a good one for us, ladies and gentlemen. This is a story that he likes to bring to the table at least once a year, to our friend group. It's one of his all-time favorite stories that he found on the internet. So, John, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm just like honored to have this opportunity because it is one of those stories that and honestly, we'll see if I can get through it today. There's been times where I just read this and I'm just like crying, laughing because I just think it's one of the funniest damn things that's just ever been written. And I'll let you all be the judge in terms of how you feel about the writing. But this comes back to, and you can find this out there as Hugo the Hornet green text. Which green text is really just an elaboration on the computers were so old, and this is from so far back in the internet that everything was in that green text. So with little to no context, I'll just share that that's basically a conversation that's happening on the internet about like embarrassment. And this gentleman logs in, and so these aren't my words, but I'll just go ahead and this is just going to be me reading. So enjoy watching me read, but we'll see if we can get through this. You nerds don't know the meaning of embarrassment. Let me enlighten you. Be in the third grade at a school assembly. Have to shit real bad. Feeling ill and feverish. We all get seated on the gym floor. Holy fuck! Hugo the Hornet is here! Charlotte's NBA team mascot when they were the Charlotte Hornets. Still have to shit so bad I'm having cold sweats. Wearing gym shorts, no underwear. I had a phase in elementary school where I didn't wear any. Felt good, man. Hugo the Hornet starts picking up kids and flipping them over in his hands and settling them back down. Starting to feel dizzy from holding my shit. See him walking my way. He's coming right for me. He picks me up and begins to flip me over. He's squeezing my gut. As I'm upside down, diarrhea begins to fly out my ass and out of the leg of my shorts, arching through the air gracefully. Start screaming. Gets all over Hugo and sprays all over kids sitting in the front of me. Hear it plop on the gym floor as well. Hugo the Hornet then drops me on my fucking head into a pile of my own shit. I hear him loudly say, "What the fuck?" The music is Hugo takes off his head and reveals himself as a black man. He pukes on the floor. The music has stopped. The room is dead silent. Assume the fetal position. Covered in my own shit and can't stop farting slash shitting as I lay there. Start crying. Pass out.
The end.
Hugo the Hornet story.
Oh, that story always hits, dude. And I do have tears in my
I
eyes.
honestly, only because I'm just so skilled performative, was able to get through it that way. But 9 times out of 10, and I know I've like read it to you before, sent it to you before, like I normally just can't stop like giggling and laughing because it is just I think he really gets me with just went through a phase in elementary school. I just didn't wear any. Felt good, man.
We can
Uh
all relate, dude, you
yeah,
know?
look, man. Like this guy sounds like he might be a hog fan. You know what I'm saying? Just might be, dude, you know, like felt feels good, man. Just
Uh,
feels right.
yeah, dude. And it's hilarious too that we're bringing this to the forefront with the news that the sale of the Charlotte Hornets just went through for Michael Jordan. So, very apropos.
It
So,
it
bravo for bringing this to the stage.
it felt right. And guys, look, it's the middle of summer, and we can do these drafts, or we're just trying to find you new ways to bring entertainment to your world. So you know, again, we'll take the feedback. If you like story time, there's plenty of depths of the internet for us to pull some things back up. But this one always made me laugh, and I don't even know which one of my friends found this 20 years ago or whenever the hell it was, but never fails to deliver for me.
Let's break it down though, real quick.
Oh yeah, we need to have
Right?
like I think there has to be a little conversation about what else goes on here.
Yeah, let's have a discussion. All right. Like, first and foremost, we've all been in that position where we just really have to take a dump. Like earlier today, I went grocery shopping and I was by myself with a full cart. Really had to take a deuce, but couldn't. And I had to wait till I got home. And let me tell you, it was scary hours for good old Duke in there. So we've all been there. We can all relate to that line. Oh, tasties in the mouth. How is it?
Yeah, we're going live. This is mixed berry, and this is good.
Yeah, is it like candy?
Uh-huh. It's definitely
Yeah.
got candy, but yeah, this is definitely like it's sweet, but it's like that nice sweet where I don't know, it's like exactly what you want on the course. Like a Gatorade hits a little different on the course, and I think this would be
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
same.
Mm, okay. I need to get some of those before I go on my trip because I'm golfing in Dublin. So I'll have to snake some of
Oh, we'll
those
make
from
sure
you.
we'll get you hooked up.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue to break this down though. All right. Feels like he's got a shit. He's in a school assembly. Again, we've all been in a
Been there.
school assembly where, you either have to take a piss, maybe you got the bubble guts like this gentleman. It's a bad place, right? Bad place to have an incident. And then we throw in the fact that Hugo the Hornet is apparently throwing kids above his shoulder. Let's stop there. What the fuck is going on with this situation? Please
Yeah.
break that down for me, John.
So, yeah. So let's talk about the Charlotte education system. Yeah, because no, that you're right. I can't imagine a world where the mascot comes in and just starts like picking kids up and doing this sort of like spinning with children. Like that
Yeah.
alone is hilarious and no way would be, I would imagine, allowed in some ways now.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a weird day, but like this was again, this is the '90s, right? Someone's wearing the Seahawks jersey we're talking about. Like the '90s was
Warren
different.
Moon's out
Someone,
there. Yeah.
they dropped their kids off out of the back of the pickup truck. They all just hopped out of the back, ran
Yeah.
out there, and sure enough, like if Hugo wants to spin him when he gets there, dude, he can spin him. You know what I mean? No one's
Oh my
telling
god.
Hugo. He's basically running the town at this point.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's numerous kids being just tossed around. Like,
Yes.
we haven't seen this kind of like, kids being touched since the Catholic Church. So just a huge time in the 90s. Then we keep going forward within the story. Kid's got to take a shit. He has anxiety because Hugo's coming right for him. Hugo squeezes this young man's stomach, which I also want to know, is that the proper technique, right? Are we are we supposed to squeeze stomachs? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what I jumps out to me too is just the total lack of awareness of this young man. Like,
Mhm.
if you're not wanting to be a participant, the last thing you need to be doing is making eye contact with Hugo the Hornet at this point. Like, you need
Yeah.
to avert your eyes, young man. You need to make it very clear that you're having a weird day. And so you need to
Mhm.
stare at the floor with your cold sweats and just continue to stare at the floor, stare at the floor, stare at the floor. As soon as you engage Hugo, you know he's coming. You know he loves to spin people, dude.
Yeah, it's his shtick, dude. That's what he does,
That's all he's
apparently,
doing.
right?
He's spinning all these kids.
So then we go further in the story, and said kid gets his stomach squeezed. Diarrhea pours down his leg, which, man, that's a tough look. But then it gets on Hugo,
Yep.
and Hugo turns out to be a black man, which we're in North Carolina. This makes sense. Hugo then, again, well, even, going back further, he takes the head off, which broke character.
Yeah, he
Number
broke
one,
character for sure. He did.
hey, man,
Right before he
the,
dropped
the
the WTF. Yeah,
the Gestapo at Disney would have had your ass, Hugo. All right,
for
first of
sure.
all, but he breaks character, takes the head off, and says, "What the fuck?" I want to know what the reaction was. What were people more in shock because of the shit? Were they more in shock because a black man who was posing as Hugo said, "What the fuck?" at a school assembly? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is probably not something I've ever really considered, but you're right. Hugo does a great job of like I know this kid's writing in saying like you don't know embarrassment, but Hugo did a pretty good job of taking the heat off of him. If he reveals himself and then
Man
yells
of the
what
people.
yeah, and then
Man of the
yells what the
people.
fuck at the top of his lungs, knowing full well that this guy like because I'm like, wow, Hugo the Hornet knows like Muggsy Bogues. He knows Larry Johnson. This guy's probably friends with Alonzo Mourning, dude. This guy is sick, man. And and then to have it take his head off, like, no offense to you, you shitty kid, but I've like completely forgotten about you because Hugo's revealed himself as a man.
What if it was Muggsy Bogues underneath all that costume?
Yeah,
Who's
that's
to
a
say it wasn't?
yeah, that's
You
definitely
know,
a different story. I don't think Muggsy Bogues is big enough to be picking kids up and spinning them around.
you might be right. I don't know, but and then the kid just has to sit in a puddle of his own shit. I mean, where are the teachers in all of this? You know, where are the teachers? This is very 90s.
Oh, this is very 90s. Yeah, this is something that could only happen then and only then. Um, but I mean, I don't know if there's more from like from the point by point breakdown. But the thing that always really gets me about this story, and I just have to say it, is the writing just kills me. I mean, the
Oh,
shit
the
colander
delivery.
is quite a. I mean, look, I know exactly what he's saying. I know the exact mesh shorts that he's describing when he delivers the
Yeah.
shit colander line. I'm like, yeah, I had those shorts. I could see those turning into a poo colander. I could see how that would happen. Yeah. Um, that the taking the time of the the no underwear thing felt good, man. Line is. I mean, I just think he's a really good writer, and I don't know that he's gotten enough credit. I hope he's taken off. I mean, hopefully he found his niche in life or his little fit because I think he has a talent.
I hope this is a real story too. I hope this actually happened, you know,
Yeah, I know.
because this sounds like some PFT commenter just like, made up story, but
Yeah, for sure.
I hope this actually happened. I'm really hoping.
Yeah.
But that has been nighttime stories with Uncle John. So maybe we'll try to bring this back, John. I know you're pulling things out of the internet all the time, just funny little, you know, stories or clips or what have you, and maybe you can break them down in the future for us. So thank you very much. I love that we're adding this to our summer catalog. This is why the people tune in. But with that, guys, we've come to the end of our show. We did want to let y'all know we're going to be taking a little siesta, and that's just a little clue on what we're about to say. We're going to take a little siesta, a little break on the show for about 3 weeks. I'm going out of the country starting this Friday, going to Spain, and then I'm going to Dublin, Ireland. I'll be gone for about 10 days, and then our lovely, wonderful Uncle John that tells stories is getting hitched up in the beautiful evergreen state of Washington. He's finally tying the knot to his wonderful fiance, and then he will be out for a little bit of time. But then we'll pick it back up, and maybe in the meantime, I'll try to schedule some guests. Maybe try to bring Brendan back on the show, or try to get the U of A boys on here if we can tempt him with some tasties or something. But with that, we will miss you guys, and we'll try to update the socials as we go. We did just hit 600 followers on Instagram, so we thank each and every one of you guys. John's running the Twitter. We got the Facebook. We got the TikTok. So keep your eyes peeled on those platforms, and we'll try to keep you guys updated as we go. John, do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, just yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll keep you posted on like what we got coming out. We'll see if we can still squeeze some stuff in. If we can't, though, just thanks for your patience with the break. We'll get it picking up and running for football season again.
Yep.
And in the meantime, I think just pray for that guy who's out there trying to play golf with night vision, because that's that's it's just it's another day on the internet, man. Just
there's
making
never
me
been a
laugh.
more There's never been a more relatable story though. So we'll throw that one out on the socials. We'll put that on the Instagram. So perfect, guys. Don't forget, please, if this is your first time listening, click that subscribe button on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe on Spotify, Apple, whatever you're listening to on. Go ahead and give us a follow. Leave us a rating. We would love a 5-star rating from you if you appreciate Hugo the Hornet. And also leave us a comment. We love interacting with you guys, especially if you're a Georgia fan. So, holler at us. In the meantime, we will be enjoying a little bit of our personal lives. And when we get back, we'll be fresh and ready to go to bring you guys some great content for football season, like John said. So, with that, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.